Hey everybody, I'm Chris.
And I'm Julia, and today we're going to talk about something that I think everyone can relate to.
What's that?
Do you ever tell a story and people just don't get it?
Yeah, all the time actually. If I forget to put the details into a story I'm telling, people don't know what I'm trying to say.
That makes your story that you told earlier make a lot more sense. But do you know who always hears us? God always hears us, and he knows exactly what we need. So let's watch this God story.
I literally don't know what happened. It's just like my nose is like, hey, here's a fun idea. Water. Hey everybody, it's me, Jamie Robertson. It's great to see you, although I'm not really seeing you. Anyway, that doesn't matter. Today I want to talk a little bit about prayer. I remember once, a few years back, it was before bedtime and I was praying and I had this really important decision I had to make. But I had been taught that before you pray for yourself, you need to pray for other people. That's nice, right? And I stand by that. So I was going through my list of people I thought I needed prayer and all this sort of stuff, but the whole time, honestly, I was just thinking about this one thing about me. And as I'm going through this list, all of a sudden I hear this laughter in my head, and it was God. He's like, listen, who are you doing this for right now? I know what you're thinking about. You know what you're thinking about. Let's just talk about this. And that's what we did. Today's big idea is that God always hears us, even when we're complaining. Okay, so we have been talking about Moses and this amazing life that he led. And at this point, he has led his people, his Israelite people, even though he was raised in the court of Pharaoh and the Egyptian royal family. He's recognized that he's an Israelite, and God has told him to go back and set the people free. And this is when we have the story of the 10 plagues. We've crossed the Red Sea and the waters have crashed down and stopped Pharaoh and his army, and the people have been delivered, and they're in the great desert, and they're on their way to their promised land, the home that God has selected for them. Everything's great, right? What an amazing story. All the miracles they've seen. They must be so happy and content and peaceful, right? No. They, my dear friends, are complaining and lamenting at some point how life was back in Egypt, in slavery. Because at least back then they were getting 3 square meals a day. They knew what their life was gonna look like. And so the people start to complain. All right, so with that in mind, let's dig into our scripture passage right now. So we're in Exodus chapter 16, verses 12 to 15. I've heard the Israelites' complaints. Now tell them, in the evening you will have meat to eat, and in the morning you will have all the bread you want. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God. And that evening, vast numbers of quail flew in and covered the camp. And the next morning, the area around the camp was wet with dew. When the dew evaporated, a flaky substance as fine as frost blanketed the ground. The Israelites were puzzled when they saw it. What is it? They asked each other. They had no idea what it was. And Moses told them, it is the food the Lord has given you to eat. Now, if ever there was a story where Moses could roll his eyes at God to be like, are you kidding me? This would probably be that story. But that's not how the story goes. We have this wild incident where God says, okay, I hear your complaints, and here's what I'm gonna do. And a whole collection of quail, and like quail are, they're little birds. They're not huge birds, and that's important. We're not talking like turkeys, like this huge thing that can feed a family. Probably not even the size of like those little chickens you can get at the grocery store, that kind of stuff. And then there's dew on the ground in the morning, but then it dries and it turns into this like flaky, like a honey cereal almost. So you're getting honey cereal and a little bit of meat. And this is how God is providing. But it's the rationing that I really want to focus on right now. So the amount of food that is available is there to feed the people for one day. But of course there's people like, well, how do we know this is gonna happen tomorrow? How do we know quail are gonna fly in? How do we know manna is gonna come from heaven tomorrow? We need to stockpile food to make sure that we're good. But it's not what God wants, and it's not what God does. And for those who do collect a couple days worth, they find that they've turned into worms and they're maggots and they're gross and it's inedible. But for those who just collect the one day, the next day, lo and behold, it happens again. And that brings us to the other sort of crazy part of this, is on one day, they're actually supposed to collect for 2 days. What are you talking about, Jamie? Let me explain very briefly. So as we said, they only ever have enough food to sustain them for the day. And if they stored anything, then they would find it rotted. Except for the day before the Sabbath. On that day, they were instructed to collect 2 days' worth, and only then would the food last for a couple days, so that they didn't have to work on their 1 day off a week. 6 days you work, 1 day you rest. Now they're complaining that they're thirsty. So when you're thirsty, what do? Naturally, you find the closest rock and just wait for water to come out, right? Well, that's what Moses is told, and lo and behold, Moses actually does it. He strikes a rock, and water, enough water to satiate the thirst of all the people, starts pouring forth from this rock. I mean, these people's lives are just covered with miracles. They got food falling from the sky, they got birds flying into camp, they got water shooting out of rocks, all this just to keep them alive and to sustain them day by day. And they were not even expected to work through their rest day. God still gave them enough food, so he's like, sit back and relax. And that, my dear friends, is really central to this story, because this story is ultimately about trusting God and recognizing the miracle of God providing for you daily. God is always providing for you because God always hears us. And as we learn more about Moses, we're gonna see the great thing about the fact that God always hears us is not only does God hear, God listens. All right, I'm really excited to dig into this part of Moses' life, but until then, I am Jamie Robertson, you are you, and both of those things really excite me. We'll talk to you next time.
I love how patient God was with the Israelites.
Yeah, me too. I mean, he performed mind-blowing miracles in front of them. He freed them from slavery, and still when they complained about wanting more food, he gave it to them. It was right in front of them. They could pick it up and eat it.
He listened to their hearts and their complaints, and he knew exactly what they needed.
It's true. Well, Julia, you know me pretty well at this point, and you know that I love to travel, but we're gonna meet a girl named Carly in this next video, and she got the chance to travel to a new country to go to school. But when she got there, she felt sad, a little lonely, so she had to find somebody to talk to about it.
Let's watch this.
Loneliness to me is feeling disconnected, feeling by yourself, feeling like you're wishing for that community, but it's not there, it's not around. You're just by yourself, all alone. So I left Canada to go to the Netherlands to study for 6 months, and I was really excited. I was looking forward to this new adventure, this new place to be, new people. But when I got there, I felt really alone. When I felt lonely, I first tried to reach out to some other exchange students, try and get involved in different clubs that they had at school. I tried to find a sense of community there. When I first started feeling this sense of loneliness, I prayed out to God, just asking for him to give me that sense of community that I was looking for. I really loved getting to Skype my family. It was really nice to see their faces. But then at the end of the call, I would just feel this strong homesick feeling, just like I was longing to be there with them and have that community I had again. While I was there, I was able to reach out to some of my dad's family who still lives in the Netherlands, and they actually gave me this Canada bicycle. I was just so proud to get to bike around on this Canada bicycle that reminded me of home. It really helped me to feel that sense of love and belonging to this family while I was there. But I still felt like there was something missing, like I still needed a stronger sense of connection with church and all the other students around me. So I actually got connected with another exchange student who went to this church in Amsterdam. And I just loved it. It was amazing. It was so nice to get connected to a church community like I have here at home. So I ran a lot back in Canada, and just running was one of my passions, and so I thought it would be something that I could also do in the Netherlands. And so I did it for a while by myself, and then got connected with another family member in the Netherlands who lives there, who also runs all the time. And so we were able to run together, and we actually did a half marathon together, which is really cool to be able to experience that with her. One of the things me and my friends love to do in Amsterdam is go to the Saturday morning market. And we would go and look through all of the desserts they had, flowers, all the sorts of cool antique shoes and different things that they have. I just think about a really flat country overall. There's just this sense of joy after being connected to these family members. Like, this is where I'm meant to be. These are the people I'm meant to be around. It was like God had given me just this sense of connection, this sense of community that I've been so longing for when I first came to Amsterdam. It really felt like the Dutch experience that I was looking for. Finally started feeling like it could be home. I think going from this sense of loneliness that I had when I first arrived to feeling happy and with people, there's like this big jump of feeling that I just felt like really full of joy, lots of energy, like the world was almost like a brighter world waking up in the morning. The advice I have for people who might be going on exchange or going abroad like I did is that you just need to remember God's always with you no matter what. He was always by my side, watching over me and providing me with this sense of community. I'm Carly, I love people. I don't really like coffee, but I do love tulips.
Hey, Chris, so have you met Carly before? I think I recognize the waiter there.
Yeah, you got me. I actually got to meet her quite a while ago now, and she's a really cool person.
And I love how God knew exactly what she needed and brought people into her life, giving her that community.
Yeah, God knows what we need. He's always with us, and he can always hear us.
And Carly is 100% proof of that. Let's get into our small groups and talk more about that.